So today I bring you a case that I want you to use your imagination for. There's not a lot of details around the case, but there's a missing person, and this person's been missing for 19 years. Pretty crazy, right? By the end of this video, I want you to come up with what you think happened to this person and or kind of try to fill in the blanks, okay? Here's who we're talking about today. We are talking about Cory Shane Braun. He was 24 years old, resided in Fort St. John, British Columbia. He had died 3 hours away from his house in Peace River, Alberta, where he was attending a party. And the details are very scarce into what happened that night. But before we get into that, conspirators, I want to thank you for coming back, clicking on my video. If the content is good, let me earn your business. Get that like, that subscribe down below, and maybe a few comments, and any ideas of things that you want me to cover in the future. I'm trying to lean into the crime a little bit more since we did a lot of conspiracy, but keep in mind there's a lot of conspiracy that goes with the crimes that we're choosing. For the next few videos, we're going to focus in on missing people, specifically from Canada. We are going to try to highlight and put some visibility on some of these cases that have been open for many years that just don't have a lot of information and that hasn't been solved. So my ask from you, throw a hashtag out there on your social media on whoever we're covering. So for today, it's Cory Shane Braun. So let me get right back into it. So here's the details of Cory Shane Braun. So Cory Shane Braun lived and worked out of Fort St. John, British Columbia. He worked for a company named Penn West, which was renamed Obsidian Energy back in 2017. Now this company is a mid-level oil field company that is based out of Calgary, Alberta. Now why is that important? Well, Cory was in Fort St. John and decided to make a 3-hour trip to the Peace River region in order to attend the holiday Christmas party of his company. So the party seemed to go pretty well. Now there's not a lot of details after this, but here's what we do know. At some point, Cory with his friends and some of his co-workers walked over to the fast gas in town, which was approximately a 6 to 7 minute walk. They went in, and it is stated that the RCMP knows about a minor altercation that happened within that fast gas right around 3 a.m., just before, okay? Now, we don't know much details about it other than it was a minor altercation. Don't know what that means, but we do know that Cory walked back to the hotel with his friends and coworkers. We also know that they went to the south entrance of the hotel building where his friends said they watched him walk to his hotel room. Now, none of them watched him actually walk into his room, but he got pretty close. Now, that's where the details go scarce. We don't know for a fact that Cory had ever entered his hotel room after getting back to the hotel. Now, everything else from here is going to be opinion-based, and it is going to kind of be non-factual based, but more hypothetical and what could have happened. So let me start with the region itself. This is very close to home for me. I was born and raised in Dawson Creek, British Columbia. Peace River is not that far from there. And I kind of have some background on, the people and the culture and what that really looks like being, so far North Canada. So first and foremost, oil is a big deal, right? This is a huge, huge industry for that region. It's either transportation, forestry, or oil and gas. And we know that Cory was part of oil and gas. Now, what that does is that brings a lot of transients through town. There's a lot of folks that travel from different provinces, even different countries like the US, to come work in the oil fields, right? There's a lot of money out there. There is essentially no rules from a criminal past. It's fairly easy to get a job. Not necessarily easy to keep a job because it is very hard work. It pays very well, but it's definitely a lifestyle. Typically, people are going to work 14 days to 15 days on, take 6 or 7 days off, and stay on that rotation at least through spring breakup, where they might get a month off depending on how hard or how soft the ground is. So it is a tough and grueling piece of work. And in Canada, they typically work 12 to 16-hour days, depending on short change and long change. Now, with all of that, there's a lot of money, comes a lot of partying, which means a lot of drinking and a lot of drug use. Doesn't mean everybody out on the rigs or in the oil and gas industry are doing drugs and partying, but it's definitely common culture, right? You also run into a lot of tough people. Keep in mind, this job requires a lot of physicality with it, whether you're throwing pipe, whether you are scrubbing the deck, whether you are just a laborer. All of these jobs require a lot of physicality that goes with it, which means you're typically stronger, you're typically tougher. Now, there's also a certain swagger that comes with oil field workers, right? They're typically going to be pretty tough, and they're not going to take any crap from anybody. So all of this plays a factor, because what was that minor altercation that Cory had in the gas station? Was it with somebody that was in the oil field? And not saying that only oil field people could be responsible for this, but typically in that region, most of them are going to be oil field workers, which means you're going to come up with some pretty tough, hard-headed, determined individuals. How many of people were in that gas station? Were they messing with one or several? Now, did these people follow him back to the hotel and maybe get a hold of Cory somehow and lure him out? Could that be a possibility? Who knows, right? There's just not a lot of details. But here's where I need your help. I want you to think through, especially my friends that are in the Grand Prairie area, that are in the Dawson Creek area, Fort St. John area, Spirit River, Peace River, all of those areas. I want you to put a hashtag out on your social media for Cory Shane Braun. I want you to just put that out there just to bring the awareness up, so that way maybe we'll trigger somebody's memory. Keep in mind, this happened in 2004, right? So it's been a long time, almost 20 years, but nobody should go missing without a proper investigation. Not saying that didn't happen, but someone that's going to be ongoing in the investigation to try to crack this cold case. A couple of facts I'm going to leave you with, and then we'll move on. So most likely died in the Peace River, Alberta region, right? We don't know for sure, but we're assuming that's going to be the case. It would have been somewhere in and around November 20th. Last seen at the Valley Inn's Hotel, which is approximately a 90-room hotel. He was wearing blue jeans and a light denim jacket with black Roper cowboy boots, and a very young individual at 24 years old. Now, he was just under 6 foot, and he was weighing in at about 210 pounds. So again, it's a lot to ask because it was about 20 years ago, but did you see somebody that was out of place in and around any of those areas that possibly could have been Cory Shane Braun? Maybe, maybe not. Either way, let's get the information out there. Maybe we'll get a break in the case, and maybe we will be able to bring you an update at some point telling you what happened, because as we all know, and everybody that visits the channel, we want to crack some of these cold cases and put some of these conspiracies and crime to bed. So with that, conspirators, I do appreciate your time. Thank you for clicking on this video. Hopefully I'm earning that business, aka that subscribe down below, maybe a like, and even a comment. If not, definitely leave me some feedback to allow me to improve some of the content that I bring and how I deliver that content to you. And if you're really generous, I would love to hear some of the stories you would like to hear about, as I want to really cater this channel to my subscribers. So with that, I hope you have a great week, a great weekend, and I look forward to seeing you again, conspirators. Over and out.